tonight about black and brown, and see exactly, have a conversation about what the tension is, where it comes from, what are some solutions that we can work towards, and read a little bit of literature, and just start the conversation to bring us together.
My name is Edgar Palacios, founder of the Latin X Education Collaborative. That organization was born out of a couple of years worth of travel across the country, time and time again, seeing the lack of Latin X representation in schools, particularly in schools that are heavily Latino populated. So in Houston, in places like California, where you would see 99% of the students who would be Latino, but administration, teachers, staff don't look like them or represent them in a cultural way. So our mission is to increase and retain the number of Latinx education professionals in schools. And I say education professionals, in fact, we were just having this conversation. I believe that it's incredibly important to have Latinos in the space, and not necessarily in education roles, but also in paraprofessional roles, administration, counselors, support services, whatnot.
All my high school, middle school, elementary, I didn't see like a male Latino in the space, so I would always see Latina women. And in my culture, or my family values, like education is seen as very feminine. So for me, I don't want to pursue that. I want to do something else. But as I went to college and learned more, and that we are needed, I took more of an interest to come here and do that, to be that representation.
So there's something about the environment that we are teaching in, that we're working in, that is now welcome to us. And we just don't have those support systems in place in order to retain. So we spend a lot of money in attracting teachers of color. We do not spend enough resources or allocate enough resources in retaining and the retention of that. Even, you go back to the Summit, when they're trying to spend $7,000 on diversity inclusion training, that gets knocked out because the parents get angry and that gets knocked out of the plans. So, one of my questions would be for all of you is how do we come together to advocate on behalf of each other and create these spaces, or at least demand that we're invited or included in these spaces?
What I would say to begin with, outside of this conversation, visit, pay attention to, and study to people who already have a clear idea of what that looks like. Erica Buddington, we can talk about, the conference in Philly. Look up educators who already have a very clear of what liberation, of what a woke classroom looks like, and study and iterate off of that. You want to talk about policies at a city level? Look at what Mayor de Blasio is doing in New York. One of my metrics for is something we're doing now is how many white folks are getting mad. And there's a lot of white people mad up in New York right now. So I would encourage us to continue wanting to support and uplift each other. But the power really in this room is the conversation around what proactive strategies do we need to do to move our system forward. If you don't know how to have that conversation, get active in studying teachers who feel like they do have an answer to that.
I think in the space of diversity and inclusion, there's a difference between recruiting diversity and including diversity, like in an inclusive space. Mm-hmm. So when I hear about school culture, what is happening is that while we say we value people of color and so we bring you in, but then when we actually get to executing on our core values, the inclusion of the space is not there. And so then we end up churning you right back out because the culture, which should be rooted in a very inclusive, that says, I value you not only as a cultural leader in your building, but also as a content expert that can assist not just students, but you can also assist colleagues. And yet your voice matters because you are trained just as well, if not better, than some of those who don't look like you. Until we have that space, then we're going to continue to have this conversation around the churn of educators of color in general, and that's at every level, whether that's administration, classroom teacher, paras, or support specialists, that if we are not creating spaces where our voices are valued, our authenticity is valued, then we're never going to get to the space where our kids are valued.
As much as I want our cultural group and to grow and become stronger, and I want to see more black and brown people like me everywhere, I think that's powerful. I also think we're hurting each other and perpetuating this division between groups.
If we put the cart before the horse, what we then do is are doing a disservice to our kids. Because if we don't have conversations with our black children about how the police are viewing them, how society views them. We can aspire again to recognize and honor the dignity of your humanity alone because you are a living, breathing person. At the same time, I also have to articulate to them how everyone else is viewing you and how that impacts the way that you will then have to navigate this world and equip you with the tools and skills necessary to, one, dismantle that belief and perception of you, but also I can never do that if I don't acknowledge that it exists.
So for me, it's all a learning curve. Because when I was in Argentina studying to become a teacher, we had different kind of issues. It's more like socioeconomic issues. It's not about race. We don't have that. So for me, it's all like a learning curve. And for what I saw in my short experience is that we were discussing this with Daniel today. Like Latinos they don't want to be Latinos. We have a lot of students in our classes that are Spanish speakers, they don't want to speak Spanish. So what we are losing here, and for me is really dangerous, is we're losing our identity. Those kids, they don't feel represented. They don't feel like the society in general are not going to accept them because they look and they speak differently.